Hey there, welcome to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Trina O'Gorman, and if you are returning, I owe you a big thank you because it has been quite some time since I last made any content for YouTube. So thank you for your patience and for remaining a subscriber. I wanted to come on to share some of my thoughts with you on keeping a notebook and personal writing. This time of the year is a difficult time of the year for me. I don't want to say it's getting easier, but I have over the years learned to live with the various events that I'm reminded of every year during this time. So, if you have been following me on Instagram for several years, you probably already know this story, but if you haven't, I'm just going to share an overview with you. In the summer of 2014, my ex-husband left. He left without warning, and that was in July of 2014, and he didn't come back. It was really a very difficult and traumatizing summer for me and my family. Together we had 2 boys. At the time, they were 11 and 6. So it was rough. It was a rough summer and traumatizing for us all. Our divorce was then final in March of 2017. It was a tough 3 years. There was a lot of contention, and coming to a settlement was very difficult. And then in May of 2018, the following year, he had a heart attack, which he survived, but it was very scary time. He was in Ireland at the time visiting his family, but he survived that. However, 6 days later, he then had a second cardiac arrest. That one left him unresponsive and on a ventilator. And then my sons and I went to Ireland on June 2nd to say our goodbyes, and he was then removed from the ventilator. And so this time of the year is just a difficult time, a strange time that has come to have all sorts of meaning for us. But I mean, we're doing okay. You know, we have grieved, each of us in our own ways, and learned to live with our new normal. And overall, we are a really high functioning, happy, particularly grateful family, and very close. From the time I was a little girl, personal writing, keeping a notebook has always been a go-to for me, a strategy for me to keep it all together. I had a somewhat challenging childhood in some ways, and so I would turn to both reading and writing as means of finding and keeping my own voice and processing the things that were happening around me. And so I come to you with that young girl in mind, and even the older me in mind, the one that was struggling so much 10 years ago when we were going through the initial stages of our separation. And I remember back then I turned to my writing in ways that I hadn't turned to it ever before. I was more prolific between the years of 2014 and 2021 than I was my entire life, even though I had always kept a notebook. And from talking about my experiences and sharing my writing practice with people, I have learned that people are struggling out there. There are people who are struggling with all sorts of things, childhood trauma. They're struggling with family and romantic relationships. They are struggling with addiction, substance abuse issues, gender and sexuality identity, body issues. They are struggling with work and school issues. People are having tough times. People are struggling quite a bit. And those are just like our personal issues. The outside world, the world outside of us, is wrought with all sorts of really sad and horrific issues that many of us see playing out in the news and on social media that weighs heavily on our hearts and our minds. And people are looking for ways to cope, various strategies, ways to cope with their personal lives, ways to deal with the shit show that is the world around us. And then you come across an article or a blog or a social media account that will tell you that journaling or writing or planning will help you to distress, de-stress, and it will help you to stave off anxiety and depression, or it will help you feel more positive and focused and goal-oriented. So you're like in, like there's a solution to this problem, and there is a solution for the way that you are feeling. And oftentimes the person telling you this is an influencer on social media, either YouTube or Instagram or TikTok, and they're sharing their journaling experiences with you, or their planning experiences with you, often with a very decorated, aesthetically pleasing planner or notebook or journal. And then they'll tell you all you have to do is find the perfect journal or the perfect notebook or the perfect planner, and you can make this system work for you. And you too can be happy. And so you go on this quest for this perfect notebook or journal or planner that will solve your problems if only you find the right combination of that and the right pen. Or if you are working in the digital realm, then the right app. But this is more to do with those of us who deal with the analog version of reflective and personal writing and planning. So you buy this notebook and you buy this pen, and all of a sudden the driving force behind the writing becomes the stuff, right? And you try to implement the strategies and the setups and the layouts and the techniques that you've watched on social media or that you've read about on social media, and you try to utilize them in your own life, it doesn't quite work. Like, you don't feel like your problems just vanishing, right? You don't feel great still. And so that then you think, well, maybe I just need some more stuff, or maybe this isn't the right planner, or maybe this isn't the right layout, or maybe I don't have the right pen or ink color or nib. And so off you go to get more stuff, because getting the stuff feels good. And then you feel hopeful that this time it'll work, right? So there's the excitement about the acquisition of the stuff, and there's the renewed hope that you will get it to work this time, and off you go. You're at it again. And then you add to that the fact that there's a community. So we all know that community, because we are social creatures, we are social beings, the idea that there are other people, primarily women, who are on the same quest that you are. They are all looking for planner or journal or notebook piece. They're all looking for just the right items, or they just want to share their acquisitions and their stuff with other people who are doing the same thing. And so they all become, or you all become, part of the same community of acquiring stuff and using the stuff in whatever ways you're using it. But primarily it's about the stuff. And it becomes kind of crazy making, because you get lost in the acquisition, you get lost in the talking about it, you get lost in the anticipation of the joy that it is supposed to bring to you, or the ways in which it's supposed to change your life. And the products become more important than the process. And that kind of breaks my heart, because as much as I love analog tools, and I love me a good notebook and a beautiful pen, I really do. I can't deny that. But for me, the focus has always been on the process, on writing, on making lists of things that I want to accomplish so that I won't forget and I can stay focused on my goals. And none of that requires any special tools. I can do that on a sheet of paper with a free pen that I acquire. I'm not going to say steal, acquire from like the bank. It literally requires nothing more than that. And that's the message that I want to get across, because there was a time when, after my husband left and the boys and I were on our own, even though he wasn't like exactly a deadbeat, he did provide some money, but now the money that we had is stretched over 2 households instead of 1. It was just rough going. And putting food on the table and keeping the kids in the activities that they were used to participating in and trying to manage it all on my own really was tough. And I didn't have $50, $60, $70, even $10 to spend, and I want to say waste, on things that I didn't need in order to write. Writing is an act. And for me, it was an act of courage. It was an act of strength. It was an act of self-preservation that required nothing more than pen, paper, and finding my internal voice and being able to use that. And so I'm hoping that somehow I can reach someone who is struggling. If you know someone who is struggling, share this with them. That you don't need stuff. You don't need to spend money. You don't need to attend conferences that cost hundreds and thousands of dollars in order to have or find or use writing to find some level of sanity or peace, however much it can provide. Because I do believe that it has or can have a lot of benefits depending on how you use it, depending on your frame or state of mind, because all of those things matter. It's not just the act of writing. It's also all of the other things that are going on around it. Right? It alone is not the magic bullet that's going to solve all of the problems or slay the dragon. So, but, writing doesn't require stuff. Right? So that's my message. Even though I love stuff, and even though you'll see me with my favorite stuff sometimes, you don't need anything but a piece of paper and a pen or a pencil or a marker or whatever to write. And so as I'm sharing writing techniques with you and writing strategies and the benefits of writing with you, I hope you'll take that to heart, and I hope that you'll find ways to use those strategies and use that information and not worry about the pen or the paper, the brand, or the color, or, how smooth it is. I hope you don't allow those things to interfere with or to stop you from reaping the benefits of the processes that I plan to share with you. So that's it for today. And I wish you peace. Bye.